Welcome, everyone. My name is Claire, and I am currently serving as your interim Pacific Northwest Key Club District PNWOF Committee Chair. I would first like to thank all of you for joining us at this webinar tonight and showing interest in applying for a PNWOF grant. At tonight's webinar, we will cover various topics such as how to select a service project, what a successful application may look like, and hear directly from previous PNWOF grant recipients. So let's get started. First off, I'd like to introduce the members of the PNWOF committee. Just to reintroduce myself, my name is Claire Jong. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the interim PNW Key Club District PNWOF Committee Chair and also as the Lieutenant Governor of Division AYS.
My name is Miley Liu. I'm Lieutenant Governor of Division 28, and I go by she, her pronouns.
Okay, and I feel like their portal could use a revamp. Like their website looks like.
My name's Charles Bales, and I'm the Lieutenant Governor of Division 54. I use he, him pronouns.
My name is Jacqueline Fitzhenry. I'm Lieutenant Governor of Division 78, and I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Addie Sanborn. I'm Lieutenant Governor of Division 82, and I use she, her pronouns.
Now that we've all introduced ourselves, let's talk about what exactly the PNWOF is. The PNWOF, also known as the Pacific Northwest Opportunities Fund, is a grant program provided by the district to assist with funding a club's unique service project that either benefits a club's local community at large or our district project Ronald McDonald House Charities. It's helpful to note that your club must be in good standing as a dues-paid club to be eligible to apply for this grant. The grant amount covers from $100 to $1,000 and can cover up to 2/3 of the anticipated cost of the project. The PNWOF application is now open and closes on October 31st, 2025. Recipients will be notified in mid to late November, and winners are officially announced to the district at the 2026 District Convention in Portland, Oregon. If your club would like to hold a high-impact service project but is lacking in funds, this is a great opportunity to aid in carrying out your project. As the deadline quickly approaches, now would be the perfect time to get in touch with your club's officer boards and advisors to begin planning out the service project you would like to create and thinking about the application process. With this, I'll pass it off to Lieutenant Governor of Division 54, Charles Bales, to go over the application details and deadlines.
Thank you, Claire. There are 4 sections to the application. The first is simply information about the applicant and contact information. The second section provides information about the project itself. This will be the type of project you plan to perform and what you hope to accomplish with it. In section 3, you will need to provide more specific information about the project, such as the timeline, budget, and materials needed. In the final section, you will be asked for signatures and to review application contacts. This slide provides valuable guidance for completing the application process efficiently. You can access the list of questions from the application through our website, and from there, we suggest that you copy and paste the questions onto a Google Doc. This will assist the rest of your officer board, advisors, or whoever else is helping you plan this project, access and review your responses well before transferring it to the application. Next, make sure to proofread your responses. This will make it much easier for us to read and understand. Finally, be sure to double check all names and contact information so we'll be able to reach the right person. Now, I'll pass it on to Miley of Division 28 to go over each section in more detail.
Thank you, Charles. Once you completed section 1 of the application, it's time to provide more information about your service project. The application asks for the name of the project, date/time of the project is to be completed, a description of your project in detail, why you are seeking the grant, whom/what you are seeking to benefit, and how this project will benefit them/it. Additionally, there are specific questions inquiring, have you done this project before? If yes, explain. An example of a meaningful response to these questions are provided on the screen. As you can see, when the application asks for a detailed description, the example provides what the project is. In this case, it would be gathering resources to support a supply drive for the wildfire relief shelter. The example also provides the intended purpose of the grant and the numerous reasons in detail as to why this project would be beneficial. In addition, note that these responses are not phrases or one-worded answers, but full descriptive sentences. The more thorough your answers are, the more information we have to consider when evaluating your application. This example of project information responses gives us an understanding of your progress on the project. Additionally, it provides details on your ability to successfully complete the project if awarded the grant. As you can see, this club details the steps they have already taken to begin their project. A key factor taken into consideration during your evaluation is your club's ability to successfully execute the project. In this example, you can see that the club has already worked out logistics of the project with their advisors, school, Kiwanis Club, and the shelter they plan on donating to. Receiving the PNWOF grant will be the final step to successfully completing their project because all of other details have been already worked out. The next section of the application asks for your project timeline. Two examples are shown on the screen now. Notice how both examples provide dates when the task will be completed and deliverables. This shows that the club planned ahead. It's important to provide a timeline that is as detailed as possible so the committee can ensure that your club will be able to execute the project and finish on time. When creating your timeline and budget, we recommend using Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. To create an accurate budget, we recommend using Amazon or Walmart to find generic prices of the items you will need for the project. Other helpful tools are price matchers, which can help you to find optimized costs so you can make the most out of the funds requested. Use Google Sheets or Excel to keep track of each item you purchase to make the accounting aspect much quicker, more accessible, and more accurate. As you can see, on the right is an example of a budgeting and material submission. The club provided a detailed list of each item they planned on purchasing and the price of each item. The final step of application is providing your signatures in the application. Though we are collecting digital signatures, forgery is still illegal. You will need the approval and signatures of the applicant, club president, faculty advisor, and Kiwanis advisor. Make sure to start communicating with all parties in order to receive signatures in a timely manner. Next, I will pass it off to LTG of Division AYS Claire to discuss how to successfully organize and plan a high-impact project.
Thank you, Miley. There are multiple parts to planning an impactful and successful service projects. So here are some tips on how to organize your service project or fundraiser. First, it's important to recognize the purpose of your project. You need to identify a cause, something that your community needs. Now, this could be anything from access to nutritious foods or greater awareness of mental health issues. From there, you can brainstorm project ideas that target this cause. A few ideas are provided on the screen. These could include supporting our district projects, like supply drives to provide for basic essential needs, or natural disaster relief assistance. Continuously examine your project and make sure that the end result is benefiting the cause you've chosen. If your club is interested in applying for a PNWOF grant, be sure to thoroughly discuss the project with your club officer board, faculty advisor, Kiwanis advisor, and sponsoring Kiwanis Club beforehand. The application process isn't easy, so it's important that all of you are on the same page about the project and the application. Your advisors and Kiwanis clubs can be a valuable resource in helping you plan or execute your project, so be sure to keep them in the loop. Don't forget, you will also need signatures of approval from them at the end of the application. During the planning process, you may need to delegate tasks to your fellow officers, ask questions of your advisors, and email faculty and school coordinators. Remember to be concise with your communications, but also very clear about what you need. If you delegate tasks to someone, remember to check in on them before the task is due. As always, stay respectful and remember to be gracious. Of course, there are a lot of moving parts that come with planning a service project, but you can do it. The key is to get started early and check in with your team members or whoever is planning with you to make sure you're on track to get everything you need sorted out. Here are some things that you might to take into account. First, you need to set the date and time for the project. Communicate this decision with your advisors, officers, and members so everyone is on the same page. Setting this early will ensure that you have lots of time to plan and also give people early notice to put the event in their schedules. Next, you will need to figure out the supplies you'll need and how much they'll cost, since that will influence the amount you request from the PNWOF. Since the PNWOF grant only covers 2/3 of the cost, you also need to figure out how you'll cover the rest. Will your club use club funds? Will you host a fundraiser? Will you ask your Kiwanis Club for support? Be sure to start planning and thinking about all of this early on. You also need to figure out your venue if it's applicable. If you're starting something like a community garden, you'll likely need to work with your Kiwanis Club and local city officials to choose a permanent spot. Venue space usually takes a while to get approved, so make sure you do this early and talk to your advisors to work out the correct process. Finally, you'll need to talk to your club members and get enough volunteers for the project. Make the cause of the project clear and emphasize the importance of their role in its success. Depending on the size of your club, you'll probably need a sign-up sheet to keep track of who's coming and when. Finally, if you have any questions or need help figuring something out, there's lots of places you can ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Your faculty and Kiwanis advisor are great resources since they've probably planned many projects before. You can also talk to your lieutenant governor as they can be a big help in answering any questions you or your club may have. Additionally, you can reach out to any member of the PNWOF committee or me, Claire, at pinwof@pnwkeyclub.org at any time for questions about the PNWOF grant. Now I'll be passing it off to Lieutenant Governor of Division 82, Addie, to go over how to determine if the PNWOF grant is right for you.
Thank you, Claire. Now, many of you might be asking if the PNWOF grant is the right fit for your club. Some questions to think about while planning for a PNWOF grant application are: will your club's service project impact your local community or contribute to the district project Ronald McDonald House? Is your potential project going to have a large and sustainable impact? Are you and your club willing to work to plan a large-scale service project? Are you willing to cooperate with others outside of your club to execute this project successfully? Can you lead the project while simultaneously fundraising or sourcing club funds for the other 1/3 of the cost for your club's projects? And finally, will your club be able to complete this project and submit the required after action report before March 31st, 2026? PNWOF projects must be completed and the after action report submitted prior to March 31st, 2026. Grant recipients will be officially announced and showcased at the DCON 2026. Now I will pass it off to Jacqueline, the Division of 78 Lieutenant Governor, who will introduce some of the past successful PNWOF grants.
Thank you, Addie. To anyone asking what a high-impact service project could possibly look like, here are some successful PNWOF projects from last year. Coeur d'Alene High School was awarded $1,000 for their Family Promise annual Christmas party. This project partnered with the Family Promise to provide Christmas gifts, a Christmas dinner, and games to 5 families in need. With the funds, Coeur d'Alene gave an average of 10 gifts to each child and 3 to each parent. The PNWOF grant helped fund the purchase of gifts, clothes, crafts, and food for the event, which helped provide a holiday experience to families in need. Cascade High School received $920 for their Operation Advent Calendar delivery, a holiday toy drive to the Tomorrow's Hope Child Development Center. These calendars benefited 85 children with struggling families, supporting the SEED initiative. The PNWOF grant helped give schools essential items like Christmas pencils, highlighters, pens, crayons, and bookmarks, and Christmas gifts such as fidget toys, bracelets, and coloring books. Another school is Liberty Christian High School, who were awarded $500 for their Christmas for All winter holiday drive. They partnered with the Union Gospel Women and Children's Shelter by assembling 100 Christmas stockings, which included a small stuffed animal, a handwritten Christmas card, and a hygiene kit that included floss, soap, socks, a washcloth, lip balm, ibuprofen, a colorful beanie, and a reusable water bottle. Some more examples of successful high-impact service projects from last year include College Place High School was awarded $130 to host its annual holiday donation drive. This project allowed students to help families in need over the Christmas holidays by purchasing items listed on the school's Christmas tree. This project focused on supplying families in need not only with necessary items, but also items that bring them joy over the holidays. With the grant funds, the club purchased the project supplies, crafts, candy, and toys. Another school with an outstanding impactful service project is Bellevue High School, who were awarded $125 for snack packs for its student community. This project partnered with Bellevue LifeSpring to donate 2 types of snack packs, Munch and Crunch and fruits and vegetables, which included fruit snacks, yogurt, cups, granola bars, and goldfish crackers. The PNWOF grant helped fund the purchase of snacks and bags for the project, distributing among the 152 students from Bennett Elementary School who were impacted by the food insecurity. Skyline High School received $200 to contribute to their fleece tie blanket project. These blankets were donated to the Sophia Way, a local women's shelter, bringing warmth and comfort to vulnerable women during the holiday season. They made blankets during their December club meetings, having members craft the blankets themselves and delivering them just in time before winter break. For our last two examples, we have the Dallas High School Key Club, who were awarded $825 for their backpack program. They partnered with the Community Backpack Program, which focused on providing 2 breakfast, lunch, and dinner meals to help students with food insecurities by providing weekend meal supplies. Each week, they were given a rough amount of bags that must be prepared per school. This collaboration provided over 350 meals for students in the community to help lower their monthly food costs. And lastly, Stella Combe High School was awarded $800 and partnered with Tacoma Rescue Mission to donate winter care packages to houseless youth and family in Pierce County, Washington. Their members purchased items with the PNWOF grant, such as lotion, lip balms, stress-relieving items, toiletries, and items for warmth to assemble these kits, which were then donated to the Tacoma Rescue Mission, which aided their focus on the cold weather month supplies. This project benefited those in Pierce County during the harsh winter months. As you can see, the project possibilities are endless. All that is required is your club's creativity and commitment to bettering your community. I will now pass it back to Claire to introduce our PNWOF panelists.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. We'll now be moving on to the panel portion of the PNWOF webinar. First, I'd like to introduce the clubs and their panelists who have graciously taken the time to be with us today. Will the panelists from Cascade High School please introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Kaylee Nguyen and I'm from Cascade High School. I'm the vice president of Cascade Key Club and my pronouns are she, her.
Will the panelists from Coeur d'Alene please introduce yourselves as well?
Hi, I'm Alyssa Robinson. I'm at Coeur d'Alene High School and my pronouns are she, her.
Hi, I'm Shayla Tyler from Coeur d'Alene High School. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the editor at Coeur d'Alene High School Key Club.
Thank you, guys. We will now move on to our moderated panelist discussion for the evening. So I would like to now have the panelists please introduce what your service project was and how it impacted your community. We will first start with Coeur d'Alene High School.
Our service project was the Family Promise Christmas Party. We provided an entire Christmas experience filled with games, stocking, gifts, food, and Santa for 4 families who are more on the poor side, and they were taken care of by the Family Project organization. Doing this impacted the community by creating lasting experience for the kids and spread the holiday spirit. It impacted our community by providing the experience for the families who are not able to afford it for themselves.
Thank you so much. We'll now move on to Cascade High School.
Cascade Key Club constructed, filled, and delivered 85 holiday advent calendars with treats, school supplies, socks, and handmade toys for children's aged around 7 years old. We provided affordable child development services to families experiencing homelessness and poverty, making sure children of homeless, impoverished, low-income families could celebrate the holidays receiving school supplies, necessities, and toys at Tomorrow's Hope Childhood Development Center in Everett, Washington.
Thank you so much for your guys' project introductions. We will now begin our moderated question and answer period where we will ask each club panelist 4 general questions. The first question we have for our panelists is, What was the most fulfilling aspect about applying for and receiving a PNWOF grant? Coeur d'Alene, if you would please answer first, followed by Cascade.
Yeah, so the most rewarding part of it was getting to see the project grow over a period of time and the success of it. And also the pure joy in the kids' eyes receiving all their gifts was a delight to see as well.
Thank you so much for your answer. Cascade, you may now answer the question.
For Cascade, the most fulfilling aspect of applying and receiving the PNWOF grant was the fact that our club could have a large impact on others' lives without having to worry too much about the money. All the hard work that went into planning and problem solving could finally be put into action without having to worry about having enough supplies or materials.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. Now for our second question, how did receiving a PNWOF grant benefit your club or community?
The PNWOF allowed us to go above and beyond with our gifts and enabled us to provide for a fourth family, even though we were originally supposed to just do three. Without the grant, we wouldn't have been able to give that other family the true Christmas experience.
Thank you so much for your answer, Alyssa. Kaylee, you may now answer the question as well.
Receiving the grant not only benefited Cascade Key Club with recognition throughout Division 21, but the large project also significantly increased involvement and broadened our members' impact on volunteering for the community. There was a lot more involvement during our club.
Thank you so much, Alyssa and Shayla. Kaylee, moving on to our third questions. What were some obstacles you faced when planning the project and how did you overcome them? Coeur d'Alene, if you would please answer first and then followed by Cascade.
Yeah, so some of the issues that we had and obstacles we had was budgeting for fairly for all four families. We were having a hard time with families that had more kids than some that had less, and making sure it was fair for all the kids to get equal presents. It was also a little bit difficult for us when applying for it to know exactly how much money we need because buying gifts can kind of vary, and especially during holiday times, it can change, especially with food and planning and all of it. But we were able to overcome those obstacles really well.
Thank you so much for your answer, Shayla. Kaylee, you may now answer the question.
Similar to Coeur d'Alene, Cascade had a lot of budgeting and calculating the gifts and materials for calendars, like issues with that kind of thing, as well as the documenting. We ran into the most trouble with our school's treasury, especially if your school runs a strict ASB, double check and ask questions about what club account the money should go into. You also need enough in that same account to cover a third of the expenses you calculated. So if transferring money through accounts is needed, find out how long it'll take. It's critical to know how long approvals for payments and purchase orders are, especially if your PNWOF project is based in the winter, as most are.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. So for our last question we have, what advice can you give for someone going through the planning and application process? Cascade, if you would please answer first, followed by Coeur d'Alene.
For us, it would definitely be to execute the actual service projects through make sure to thoroughly explain to your members what the PNWOF grant is to begin with, and then promote fewer but longer meetings, whatever works with your advisor. After officers prepared in advance to craft the calendars, we booked our cafeteria for an initial 4-hour meeting with officers leading their own respective stations. Snacks and beverages are also highly recommended to keep the members.
Thank you so much for your answer, Kaylee. Coeur d'Alene, you may now also answer the question.
So for a large scale project like we had, we were having a lot of bullet points, a lot of meetings, and making sure that you have a timeline set out is really helpful. We made sure we had not just one, but like multiple meetings to make sure our timeline fit out because we have been planning the event since pretty much September. So it goes on for a really long time and making sure you get your members involved with planning, asking them what kind of gifts you think we should buy and what kind of food we should bring and making sure just you're getting everybody involved and making sure they know where this money's coming from and how much you have.
Thank you so much for your answer, Shayla. So that's all of the moderated questions that we have. Thank you for all of your thoughtful responses to the panelists. This concludes the moderated questioning portion of this webinar. I will now be passing it back to Charles and Addie to lead our open floor question and answer session.
Thank you, Claire. Please use the Zoom chat or the raise your hand feature to ask any questions you may have of our panelists. You may direct questions to a specific panelist if you choose, but please do not hesitate to ask any questions about the PNWOF application process or the PNWOF grant in general. Please make sure to specify who your question is directed to.
Great. So it looks like we just got a DM in the chat that's from Hanford High School. And it says that, do you have any suggestions on how to determine what a good service project would be?
Yeah, I
So,
think. Oh,
oh, who was about to speak?
yeah, it was me.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that determining what a good service project would be was kind of looking at what your community needs and kind of what your members are interested in and want to do. That's a really great way if you're struggling to get an idea for what service project.
Thank you for that.
I
Yes,
completely
Isabel?
I completely agree. To add on to that, I would say making sure that the project is sustainable and you guys can have a successful budgeting plan throughout your entire club is really going to be necessary to plan all of it.
Thank you. We have another question from Isabel Williams.
Hi. So I'm a club president from Division 18, and we just recently ran into a problem where we don't actually have a club advisor anymore. She is no longer sponsoring our club, so I was just wondering how can we still apply for the grant, or if we can still apply to the grant if we don't have a club advisor anymore.
Sure, I'll step in and answer that for you, Isabella. Hi, I'm Mike. I'm the finance administrator for the district. I would suggest that you work with your, is it first let me question, is it a faculty advisor that you're missing, or is it a Kiwanis advisor that you're missing? Because if it's one or the other, you would want to work with the advisor that you do yet have.
Yeah, so we do have a faculty advisor, but we no longer have a Kiwanis advisor.
It's just the Kiwanis advisor that you're missing. So
Yes.
then I would recommend with the project where it requires the signature of a Kiwanis advisor that you get the signature of the school principal.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It looks like we have another question. After applying for the PNWOF grant, how are we notified that our application has been approved? Yes. So for that one, the club is notified through an email sent directly to the contacts in the application, which is why we have you fill out all those names and all those emails so that we can notify you around mid-November.
So our next question is from Eldana. She asks, are there any common mistakes clubs make that we should be aware of before applying? So one of the most common ones that we see quite a lot more than you'd expect is just like doing your budget wrong. Because if you ask for more than $1,000 or more than 2/3 of the total cost of your project, we just immediately cannot give it to you. It's an immediate decline. And if your budget, like what you're going to be spending the money on, isn't clear enough, we also take that into heavy consideration. So that's one of the biggest issues. And then another issue we see is when an application looks sloppy or like it was completed like a minute before the due date on 11:59 the day of. We can't see when it's turned in, but we can see how well it's proofread and the word choice and what sort of grammar rules you use. So making it look nice is also a huge factor in whether we choose it or not.
Looks like we just got another really good one asking if the service project has to be focused towards the district project. So the answer to that one is no, it doesn't. it's a good idea to have that connection if you can. This year, we're supporting Ronald McDonald House Charities. But if it's something that your local community really needs, then you are more than welcome to choose to support that as well.
Our next question is about the after action report, which may have been mentioned in the slideshow, but the after action report is once your project is completed with money from the PNWOF grant, once you've already done this project, an after action report will be due in 30 days. And it's basically just a summary of your project, and it documents the grant funds that were used for their designated purpose, like what you did with the money and how the project went. You'll need to provide a complete accounting along with all receipts, as well as photos from the club's project for proof it was used for that, and a letter from the recipient organization, if you have a recipient organization, acknowledging that your club did the project and who the project benefited. So our next question is from the LTG of Division 78. And she asked, can my club apply more than once for more PNWOF grants if we have multiple projects that we are doing? So
The answer to that one, I'll jump in here, is no, you can't apply more than once for a single service project because it's important that your club focuses and puts all their energy into one high impact service project. However, if you don't receive the grant this year, we really strongly encourage you to apply every other year. And even if you do receive it this year, continue applying in later years as well. We want to support you in being able to help your community as much as possible.
So our next question is, if my club were to fundraise and donate to another organization which donates to people, like Blood Cancer United, would we still be able to apply for this grant? And the answer to that would be it's a definite yes if you're doing it for like objects, like if you're raising money so you can donate clothes to this object, to this organization, or things like toys, or just raising money so you can put together care packages that this organization would distribute, then the answer is yes. That's been done before and it's been very successful. But just giving the raw money to them probably would not get accepted because it's not like your members are actually doing this service project. You're really just taking the money in and passing it along, which is not the point of the PNWOF.
We have another question asking how many grants are given out. So this is a really good one because it hits a couple of points. There is no specific number of grants that are given out. We as a PNWOF committee go through and we look at every single application and determine what ones we would be willing to give grants to. And that's where we really look at how you guys have budgeted, how well you guys have planned things out, how many details you have so that we know whether it's achievable. So we can give you the amount that you've asked for. We can give you a little bit less than the amount that you've asked for. There's no really hard and fast rule in that sense. So my biggest recommendation would just be really making sure that you have everything planned out that you possibly can before having the funds. Yeah, and so we have a couple of questions asking about what type of ones get approved the most. There's no really specific type that gets approved the most, but I can say that during the holidays, there's a lot of service projects that get planned just because it's such an important time for families and for families in need. And so we typically see a lot of applications with that, and there's usually a few that are accepted because there's so many. Even in the examples that we showed you guys earlier, there were definitely a few holiday ones.
We also do consider district project, like projects that are related to the district project to be a little higher on our priority list. So if we see two great applications, but one of them is related to the district project, we'll likely choose the district project one.
We have a question asking how we find organizations in your area to partner with. So, if you guys really want to do a big service project and you really want to make that impact, but you just don't know what to do, work with your club advisors and all of your members to make sure that you brainstorm a local community organization that's a good fit for the project. And reaching out to the organization that you think might be a fit and inviting them to club meetings is really good because then you can see exactly what they need and whether that would fit with the application. Hopefully, you'll find a fit and the organization is willing to partner with you and your club to make the organization impactful.
Our next question is, what's one piece of advice you would give about creating a well-written PNWOF submission? And my favorite answer to this is just to think about the question words that go along with it. What, when, how, why. Make sure that your application clearly answers these questions and clearly define what the project is, when the project's going to be done, how your club is going to complete the project, and why your club chose this project. Just keep that whole thing in your mind the entire time. We left who out of that list because the who should obviously be your members and almost no one else. Be sure that your club thoroughly reviews the application and includes all these question answers before submitting.
And we have a direct message saying, my school is really strict about buying things with our club funds. Buying things online is the easiest way for us to purchase materials for service projects. Do we have any recommendations or suggestions of online stores that we can purchase materials from? I would say Amazon and Walmart are definitely highly recommended because that's where you're going to find online stores with the most average prices and the cheapest ones. And you can often find things in bulk and you can find multiple selections of the same items. So I would definitely gravitate towards those instead of more local shops because those tend to be more expensive or less well known ones. So definitely lean towards bigger chain stores.
Our next question is asking if you were to execute a joint service project with another club in the same division, could you apply for the PNWOF together? And the answer is sadly no. You can only apply for the PNWOF as an individual club. You can still involve other clubs in your service project, which means that you can do the service project with another club, but you can't all apply for the PNWOF grant to get like more money and pool it together. You can only apply for the PNWOF once per service project.
We have a question, a direct message for the panelists. Was there anything about the entire PNWOF process from the application to the execution that surprised you? It could be either positive or negative.
Yeah, so what surprised me with the PNWOF was actually how easy it was to apply and how like easily we were contacted about the money. And we thought this was going to be like kind of a longer, harder process, but it actually wasn't that hard or difficult. It was pretty um easy and fast. The long and hard part is more your own like self-planning and budgeting, but actually filling out the application and receiving the money is not that difficult. So
For Cascade, it was definitely the fact that our school had multiple accounts for requiring approval for transfers, which is why we started a lot earlier and we asked our bookkeeper which account the fund should go into, how long the approval should take for the purchase orders, all that kind of stuff. But make sure to keep in check with your treasurer.
All right, thank you everyone for your questions this evening about the PNWOF. I will now pass it back to Claire.
All right, thank you to the entire PNWOF community committee and our club panelists. If you have any additional questions that we weren't able to answer tonight, or you think of any in the next few weeks, please feel free to email at pinwop@pnwkeyclub.org, and I would be more than happy to answer any questions for you. You can find any updates about the PNWOF on our Instagram, website, and divisional newsletters, so please keep an eye out for that. Thank you all so much for attending this evening's PNWOF webinar. We can't wait to see all of your ideas and read your applications. Good night, everyone.